So it's been a while since I've made a video, and I've just been taking the time to study scripture and really try and get in prayer to focus on my relationship with Christ and try and better things there before I continue making any more videos like I was before. But I had this one that came to mind yesterday, and I thought it was pretty important to share, so I wanted to kind of just spread this general message that came to me. So I know a lot of people turn to disbelief from prior experiences they had in the church. And unfortunately, that comes from a lot of things like sexual misconduct, harassment, molestation. And these are things that, unfortunately, we know have been found time and time again in churches, which is disgusting that in a place that is supposed to be of God, where we're supposed to be able to go to worship Him and find a general sense of community amongst believers, that is oftentimes where a lot of people find harm that comes their way, whether to themselves or to their children. Countless crimes have been committed, and I just saw one not too long ago about a church that was harboring human trafficking victims, and they were trafficking them from within the church. So it's tough to try and persuade somebody who's gone through something like that there's any sort of valid reason to turn back to initially what led them to their traumatic experience. And so sometimes I think we always say, well, it was the church, not Jesus, and that's the truth. But if we just kind of explain it that way, it becomes more of a dull statement. They would be able to draw that conclusion themselves, that it was not Jesus directly who did that to them. It was somebody in the church. They know that. They know that. They wrestle with, why did this happen to them? Why was it not stopped? And that becomes a part of a bigger philosophical assessment of the sinful world we live in and why anything, terrible happens. But one thing that came to me that I did want to say was that I want to say to those people who have gone through something in the church and have a traumatic experience in the church, I want to say that it's important to remember that Jesus Christ was persecuted and eventually beaten and tortured, led to crucifixion by the same people who proclaimed His Father's name. It was the same people that petitioned and got His death. They got what they wanted. They got His death on that cross. And those were the same people that, while the traditional Christian church may have not have been established at that point, prior to, they were the original people of God. They were the Israel, the Jews. They were the original people of God that followed His laws and commandments. That was the original before Christianity itself was a concept. They had the synagogues in that community of Jews. That was God's people. And so it was those people that proclaimed the name of God, yet crucified His Son when He came to rescue them. So I think that's the best argument I could tell somebody that's gone through something from the church, is that there is no justification for it. It's horrible regardless. But it's more than just, it wasn't the church, it wasn't Jesus, it was the church. It was Jesus went through that too. The same people that He came for, His people, were the ones that persecuted Him and ultimately killed Him. So it's just something that came to my mind to reflect on. God bless.